Got Shalom. It's your brother Makaza again. This is Scripture's No Vain Opinions. Want to give all praises to the Most High through His Son. Want to call all Negroes and indigenous, and those indigenous that are not of Mongoloid or Spaniard descent, back to our God, and also those that are scattered from the four corners of the earth, wherever else the Holy Seed is scattered, back to our God, the God of Israel. Repent, for the kingdom is at hand, which true repentance is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, and having faith in the Messiah. Okay. Alright. So I wanted to do this lesson because it's pretty much a remake going into David Reubenite. But this is kind of like an intro because the reason I'm bringing this out is because some of the stuff on Reubenite, he was compared to a Hamite. Okay, like we seen in the scriptures. That's the whole point. But as you can see, the reckless talk of these people that claim that they're in the truth and they're of the Latino, whether they're Latino only or if they're just mad on the aspect of Negro only. But a lot of like when they talk, because even with people that may disagree with the Negro only, they don't talk as much shit, excuse my language, but they don't talk as much shit as a lot of these Latino, like this kind of like stuff. So mostly the people that is talking about we're Hamites now and Canaanites, they be running their mouth on the comment board a lot. But this chick, arguing with men, where your husband at, you know what I'm saying? But I'm telling her she disrespectful in regards to the whole thing with Puerto Rico, which y'all can watch my lesson where I said Israel is Negro, who's the real Indian, the Northern Kingdom. And in that video, I was talking about the Tainos and Arawaks and the Lacayan people. I didn't show the skulls that they said was Negro. I didn't show that they was called Negro. They was shipped to Spain. All of that. Okay, so we was talking and whatnot, and also y'all could watch my Marano video because that's what came up. Now she's trying to say that she's a Marano or like she's a Spanish Hebrew and all of this kind of stuff, but I already showed in my video who the Maranos were and how once they got kicked out of Spain, they were sent to Africa and places in the Caribbean. She thinking they only went to Puerto Rico, which is a lie. I showed in that video, also my Ladino video, that they were shipped, all over the Caribbean, but also places like Jamaica. Okay, it wasn't no Ricky Martin. It's not talking about Ricky Martin. Okay, so but as you look at what she was saying like Moreno means brown, which is true. Which we're not black, we're brown. Okay, y'all the ones that's beige. We're the real brown. Like when they talk about black and brown, we're the brown people. Okay, and she said, yes, they fled into Caribbean. Where do you think Puerto Rico? First of all, they were shipped. A lot went into slavery, as I brought out in that video. And then she says Hebrews are not Hamites, they are Shem. As if I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? So like they talk a lot like stupidity. They thinking they puffing themselves up, but they have no knowledge. And she's cutting herself like Moreno. You know what I'm saying? A dark, swarthy, which it goes back to the word Moor. Okay, so we know Moor. We know Indians was called Moor. We know that the Moors in Spain, Moor is not a nationality. It was a descriptive term. Okay, like being called Negro. Okay, but Jews was called Moor as well. All right, so she was cutting herself, and here's what I was trying to get at is she says, and yet again, show me where Israel was compared to Ham, please, source. She's asking for a source. You know what I'm saying? You're asking for a source, but it's in the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And I'll get to where I show her the scriptures, but it says what part you can't get. Spaniards didn't call Indians Negroes. Okay, so she's gonna get exposed because I'm about to bring out a source. But she said they called Tainos who are not Indians, which, again, the term, matter of fact, I forgot because I just wanted to get to the point, because she was speaking a lot of madness. But basically, if y'all want to go back to the comment board, this was on the F.O.P.E. It was Elder Kana. He was talking about the 10 tribes in South America. I believe that's the video. But she was trying to say that the Indians was called India because they look like the people of India, which is a lie. And also because Indios, of God, the people of God, is another reason why he knew where he was going, Columbus. Okay, so that's a lie. All right, but even with my sources in the video I did, like I said, who's the real Indian, I showed that even they called, the Arawak Indian and so on and so forth. Okay, but as you can see here, I showed, just a few scriptures. I said, so you don't know the scriptures I said, you don't know the scriptures I see. Salak for the spelling, but it said, Acts 21:37 to 39. Paul was compared to an Egyptian. Moses compared to an Egyptian. The Roman Tacitus said that the people said the Jews were the color of the Ethiopians. You know what I'm saying? So those kind of things, like you didn't know that. So, and I said, secondly, I have books on Spain, and a lot of black Jews have Spanish names, which that's also in this book, Africans and Native Americans. I just wanted to get the point, because I had already had this on my computer, so because I wasn't even really gonna touch into this. But what she said? She said, yeah, and then another thing I said was, lastly, since y'all guys want to talk about damn Spanish, why did the Spaniards call the Indians of Brazil? And it was also the Portuguese, but the Indians of Brazil, Negros de Terra. Okay, and she said, I'm not from Brazil, nor do I give a shit about its history. But you supposed to be an Israelite. You supposed to. So that's like me saying, just because I'm Judah, I can't look into my family. My all these tribes that are supposed to be we of the same nation. I can't go into the history of my people. You know what I'm saying? How stupid do you sound? Okay, and I showed that the Brazilians or the Indians of Brazil, and they were of color, black people, they said that they were Israelites. Okay, so she says she don't give a damn about the history of Brazil. I study my people, and you should do the same. Well, my people are Israelites. Okay, so I'm not studying damn Puerto Rico. I'm studying the real people of Puerto Rico. I'm not you know what I'm saying? So, and that's why I did a whole lesson on Tainos. Bringing out stuff that, again, none of y'all men in that claim y'all Ephraim bringing out. You know what I'm saying? That got a problem with Negro onlys and all this kind of stuff, and those talking about we Canaanites. Okay, so yeah, and like she said, why did which the Tainos, which I don't disagree that the Taino. I just did another post on my Instagram about the Tainos being Israelites. So let me just cut it real quick, and then we'll get to the point of this lesson. So just get into the point. It says, this is page 24. It says, in any case, at least 3,000 Americans, or Indians, you know what I'm saying, are known to have been shipped to Europe between 1493 and 1501, with the likely total being possibly double that. Most were sent to the Seville area. Okay, so we know Seville is in Spain, and then in my last video I showed the Valley of the Salakia, the Virgin of the Navigators, where it shows the indigenous people in the background of Columbus and all of them, and they all had woolly hair. So we know those weren't just some Africans or something. Those were the Tainos, because it tells you that those were the indigenous people. All right, but it says sent to this, and I also showed that the point is that image is in Seville. Okay, so it says Seville area where they seem to show up in the slave markets as Negroes. Okay, so that's why I'm talking. This, you know what I'm saying. You want to get out of pocket, but here it is. This chick telling me that they wasn't called Negro and all of this stuff. But where are your sources? That's what I'm talking about. These clowns, these Latino onlys. You know what I'm saying. They be running their mouth a lot. You know what I'm saying. I'm not with all of the run back and forth. I'm bringing out sources, man. I don't care about none of that back and forth stuff. Where are your sources at? You know what I'm saying? Brothers like me, myself, other brothers that's just bring. We not just about talking. Y'all not Israelite. You know, we actually showing why you're not. You know, or of those that aren't, like basically of Mongol or Spaniard descent, basically not of a Negro stock. Okay, so but that's just one cut. You know what I'm saying? All right, so as this, because this was off my Instagram, but this is another part in the book. It says, thus Negro is used, because this was written, I believe it's in Portuguese, and it says, thus Negro is used for Indian, not for someone from Africa. Okay, so the term Negro was used for the Indian specifically. Okay, so yeah, but yet, you know, you telling me that it didn't matter, or no one was called, Indians wasn't called Negro. It only meant someone from India. Okay, which again, well, Elam is dark, but you know what I'm saying. But I showed images of, you know, it wasn't no Australialoid. You know, they were dark skinned with long hair, like all Indians. That's what a black Indian would look like, or whatever the case is. No, okay, I show images of woolly hair. And there's other sources. I might do more lessons in the future on the native people being a Negro, or you know, like I said, a Negro stock. All right, so you know, that was just basically like a you know, an intro. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is on David Rubini. All right, so okay, so David Rubini, let's find out about him. All right, so because he was a Reubenite. All right, it says 1490 in Kabar claimed. Okay, because that's what they said, which I'm gonna read some of the other sources on him. Okay. But it says the mysteries of Rubini's origin, and this is from Wikipedia. So these two are from Wikipedia. Everything else is, you know, less people, oh, you on Wikipedia and all of that. I'm going to show other sources. All right, but it says the mysteries of Rubini's origins are manyfold and have not been solved to this day, because some people think he was born in Arabia, which I'm going to show, and some think he came from India, which I believe that he was most likely born in Arabia. And basically the kingdom of his brother, which I'm going to touch into a little bit, it probably stretched out all the way to India. So you had, you know, he was dealing with both sections and possibly more. You know what I'm saying? But it says, while Gedalia Ibn Yahya speaks of him as being a man of dark complexion like a Negro, and of low stature, his place of origin remains a mystery. All right. So, and I wanted to further read this part, but Rubini stated that he was born around 1490 in a place referred to variously as Harbor or Kayabar. Okay, which so I had this up. It's in Saudi Arabia. Okay. Okay, see, it says, before the rise of Islam, this fortress town had been inhabited by Jewish tribes. It fell to Muslim forces in 629 AD. Okay, so you already had Jews living in that area. Okay, so it says, which was subsequently identified with a place of a similar name in Central Arabia. He related that he had been sent by his brother, King Joseph, who ruled the kingdom with 70 elders, who was seeking alliance against the Turks conquering the area for its great wealth. Okay, so they was trying to get back the Holy Land from the Turks. All right, and it says another version in this Another version is that his true origin was at a port called Craiganour along the Malabar coast of India, where a large and well organized Jewish community had lived for many centuries. And that's what I was saying, where, it's between those two. But like I said, he was most likely born in Arabia, and he dealt with things in India. All right, so let's continue on. All right, so this. Okay, so the book, the Black Jews of Africa. So this is what I wanted to get. It said supposedly, or Black Jews supposedly from the lost tribes, as to David Rubini, who claimed to be the brother and emissary of a king of Calabar, who ruled the exiled tribes of Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh. He himself may have been Phalasha origin, which I'm not sure about that, but showing it was Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh, because you still had Israelites in that region. They not all the tribes came over here. Okay, a lot are still in Africa. Obviously, a lot are in Europe, and still in Israel, still around Israel. Palestine, so on and so forth, like places like Arabia, India. Okay, so everyone trying to make everybody be in the Americas. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you going, like I said, you making it like these modern day Hispanics are all the 10 tribes. No. Okay, but as we say that this guy Rubini, he had dark skin. Like we read like a Negro, but I'm a further show. Because like I said, old girl talking about, where's your sources? Okay, so I showed you the scriptures on the comment board, but then I'm going to show you here as well. Okay, because, whether people accept it, believe it or not, but, that in due time. But it says he himself may have been Phalasha origin, which, like I said, I'm not sure if he was a Phalasha. You know what I'm saying? But it says a number of his contemporaries, for instance, Daniel of Pisa, described him as having dark skin. Okay, so all right, so this is another source I had. It said, what do we know about David Rubini or Ruvini? Some say Ruvini, some say Rubini. Over and above his own words, there is a description of Ruvini by his contemporaries. David de Pisa, a banker and leading figure in Italian Jewry, and Gedalia Yahya described him as a short and lean man with a dark complexion like a Cushite. Okay, so he was like a Cushite. There go compared to like an African who came from afar and spoke Arabic mixed with a little Hebrew. Okay. So, and a lot of people might be like, which I even I showed in my lesson in regards to the word Niger in Acts 13. A lot, because that's how fake Jews, they thinking like, okay, it's one black Jew out of the rest are white Jews. You know what I'm saying? That because for y'all that it's making it seem like he was the only one. But I'm gonna show the last source. I'm gonna show. But we already read here that you had black Jews supposedly from the lost tribes. Okay, so we can't play no games. We know that the Jews, the original Jews and Israelites, were people of color. Okay, so it was only obviously till now, people don't know the truth. You know what I'm saying? So, alright, so I just wanted to get this part as well as far as the Craiganour thing. It says, even Brimham was convinced that Rubini was a messenger from India seeking support for the trotting Jewish colony in Craiganour. Okay, J. Jacobs in his Jewish Encyclopedia states that he was from Calabar in Central Arabia. Okay, so, like I said, he possibly was born in one, and he was dealing with both areas, So it says David Ruvini, the only I think it was the black Jewish Mashiach claimant. No one is quite sure where the mystic, adventurer, traveler, Kabbalist David Rubini was born. according to, it says, Ha Kabbalah, David Rubini was a man of dark complexion, like an African, and only spoke Hebrew and Arabic when he visited Portugal. Okay, so again, there go another source, but it said again back to Kraganor. Um, like I said, you got Calabar, Kraganor again, but it says perhaps the most compelling account is by Rubini himself, who claimed that he was born in a place called Calabar, which may be identical to Calabar in Central Arabia, which was inhabited and ruled by Jews. All right. So it says, this is the book Farewell España. Okay, so it says, it was in 1524 when the issue of a Portuguese Inquisition first was raised that a dark-skinned, elaborate, bejeweled little man appeared in Rome to offer his own alternative to the Jewish condition, mounted on a white horse. And again, just like the scriptures, I just want to bang this in the head that just like in the scripture, you got certain scriptures that kind of give a description of Israel, how they look. Okay, so like, you know what I'm saying, but like I said, the last source I'm gonna bring out kind of shows it ain't like it's just him. He's the only Jew that had dark skin. If those that are may get simple, but it says elaborate Salak. To the Jewish condition, mounted on a white horse and surrounded by a retinue of attendants, the exotic visitor announced himself as David Rubini, a prince whose brother ruled the Jewish tribal kingdom of Reuben, deep in the Arabian desert. With his colorful oriental costume and even more flamboyant demeanor, Rubini dazzled the Jews of Rome, and all the more when he proclaimed his mission. It was nothing less than the reconquest of the Holy Land from the Turks. Okay, but for that purpose, he and his brother required extensive military help from the Pope and Christian rulers of Europe. All right. Okay, so this is the other within, the Marranos. Okay, so why in the book, about the Marranos, you hearing about dark-skinned Jew? Okay, because like I said, which I'll put the link in my link in the description again of the video I did. All right, but it says David Rubini, Canons for the Messiah. It says, but now attention in Lisbon turned toward a dark-skinned Jew, all clad in white, who claimed to be a princely emissary from a distant Jewish kingdom in the desert. He spoke only Hebrew and Arabic. His name was David, and he belonged, he said, to the ancient Hebrew tribe of Reuben. Okay, so the northern kingdom still in that region, okay, and of color, okay. So and I just showed he was said he was skin color like a Cushite. Okay, we again the source Tacitus said that we were the color of the Ethiopians. Okay, so yeah, don't get simple. Okay, but this the northern kingdom. All right, and I showed Northern Kingdom in the Americas, so it ain't they was because they was dealing with Hamites or whatever the case, whatever excuse these Latino onlys want to talk about, or these simple people like this chick on the comment board, you know what I'm saying? That's their excuse. That's just like the damn white man, the fake Jew, claiming that the reason that there's black Jews is because Jews dealt with Hamites and all, as if they weren't that color or of color. Like I said, the Negro is vast. Everyone won't look like, yes, they won't look like Wesley Snipes. Okay, but again, the Negro is vast. You got light-skinned Negroes. Okay, that's still Negro feature. Not that they all go, if they're not wet like Wesley Snipes, that they'll have to look like Blake Griffin. No. Okay. So, but it said his brother King Joseph reigned over a segment of mythological 10 tribes, in which, they try to throw that word in there like as if, it's a mystery, and, but it says 10 lost tribes of Israel that had disappeared in antiquity, okay, which, was lost but now found. All right, it says, according to Jewish legend, the lost tribes will appear when the Messiah is about to come. So was the Messiah coming? So they was equating him, because they thought that since he was trying to take back the land, that was just like it tell you in Acts. Acts, matter of fact, I'll get that real quick. Acts 1:6. It's just like when the Lord came back, and they said, verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, will thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? Okay, so that's kind of like what, when Reubenite came on the scene, that was kind of like why they was thinking, that's, if that was the case. Okay, but boldly mixing messianic and political allusions, the enigmatic messenger said his brother was planning a military expedition to conquer the Holy Land from the Turks. Okay, so it was going against the Turks. Okay, so here it is. So this is what I wanted to get. So this is Auto da Fe and Jew, okay, by Auckland or Adler, or Nathan Adler, Salakia. All right, so this is page 30. All right, so it says, I'm starting right here. It says, an ambassador has come to the Pope from the Jews in India, offering him 300,000 combatants against the Turk and asking for artillery. The ambassador was the famous David Reubenite, who started on his mission in 1522, and his principles seem to have been the black Jews of Kraganor. Okay, seemed to have been the black Jews of Kraganor. So not only was he a black Jew, okay, because again, back then in European times, or during medieval times rather, everyone was everything was descriptive. Like I said, everyone he's a Negro, he's a Moor, his skin is black, his, you know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. Okay, so yeah, so for y'all that might get simple off this video and thinking, why was he keep being called, looked at as being black, as he was something else? Because we can get all type of sources, showing that the Jews were of color. Okay, in Europe, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, Salakia. Matter of fact, let me just prove all things real. Okay, so I wanted to prove or just show further proof, because for any type of doubters in regards to David Reubenite, because you probably would research and find in the so-called Jew or Amalek sources or whatever the case is. Obviously they're not gonna bring out no type of truth, you know what I'm saying? But as again, let's read it again. It says, the ambassador was the famous David Reubenite, who started on his mission in 1522, and his principles seem to have been the black Jews of Kraganor. Okay, which it's a lot right here. Kraganor, okay, India. Okay, so in fact, I'm done with that, but I wanted to get this out of Nature Knows No Color line. So it says, Tacitus of about 90 AD says, many assert that the Jews are an Ethiopian race. Okay, so like I said, the color, because some sources say that he said they were the color of the Ethiopians, but I brought that out. Also, they said they were like the Egyptians, which we know the Egyptians at that time were African. Obviously they're from Ham, but black. You know what I'm saying? It says, for Romans to have taken them for Ethiopians is clear indication of their color, since the Ethiopians were definitely black to the Romans. Okay, so ancient Jewish legends themselves recognize a Negro strain among the Jews. Okay, it says Walt says an interesting gradation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews, especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. Okay, so old girl, like I said, this wasn't even about her, but just because it made me think about the stuff she was saying about us not being compared to Africans, and then she running her mouth about Spanish Hebrews and all of that. But it said especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. Okay, so especially dark, not one or two people, but especially dark meaning multiple. Okay, and we just read right here. Northern Kingdom, black Jews of Kraganor, coming from Arabia, coming from India. Okay, just in the beginning of the video showed you the American or the Tainos. Okay, which you had a Squanto, which was a Narragansett, Salakia which was a Wampanoag that was sent to Spain too. So yes, other Indians outside of Tainos were sent to Spain. All right, but it says, but to cut, that's a cut. It says the Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. Okay, the Duchess de Bronzes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. It says many of the Jews who were banished from Portugal by John II settled in the West Indies, and I brought that out, showing you the slavery. They went to Africa, they went to the Caribbean. John Bigelow, who visited Jamaica in 1850, so now in 1850, saw the descendants of these Jews and says they were Negroid. Negroid, the Eastern Jews who settled in Austria, Poland, and Russia were Negroid too. But just right here, 1850, and I showed in the video how Indians was still classified as Negro in the 1800s. All right, so no matter how these clowns want to get crazy and talk all of this, even trying to say, we, it doesn't match up the prophecies of Africa and whatnot, but then you acting like you're the real Indian. Well, I got you there too. So whichever game you want to play, you know what I'm saying? If y'all want to act like y'all the real indigenous people, no. The real indigenous people were people of color. They was classified Negro, black, and colored. Okay, them NBCs for you. Okay, so and I'm giving y'all the good news. Speaking of NBC, okay, which is the truth. All right, okay, so that's been pretty much the lesson. But like I said, it says black Jews of Kraganor, so it wasn't like David Rubini was just this. Everyone, it's one black Jew. Everyone, it's crazy. He was described as dark skinned, as if he was the only one. No, again, we can go on the scriptures and see. We compared to Africans, scriptures that speak of color. Okay, even like the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So, Revelation 1:14 and 15. Okay, so, I mean, just for those that, because there's always a scoffer around. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's been the lesson. Hope brothers and sisters was edified. Okay, and, if y'all got questions or whatnot, put it in the comment board. All right. Till the next time, shalom.